what you're talking about. All SEC schedule. It's an 8-game SEC schedule. So 8 SEC games, 4 non-con games. I don't know what you're talking about. All SEC schedule.
Whoa, Todd, Lou!
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. SEC schedule reveal show coming on now. Yes, I've seen all the same rumors and reports today that you've seen. I don't have a problem with anything I've seen today. I think Georgia should play at Oklahoma instead of at Texas, just because Georgia just canceled a game at Oklahoma. But as long as Georgia gets to play one of the two new teams, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's fine. Playing Alabama obviously doesn't bother me. I think it should be in Athens since we played in Alabama the last time we played, but it doesn't really matter to me. I think LSU should come to Athens. Maybe they will. We'll see. But LSU hasn't been to Athens since 2013. South Carolina hasn't played in Alabama since 2009. Everybody keeps pointing at the Georgia and Texas A&M thing. Every single team in the SEC has one team that they've either never played at their stadium or they haven't played there in 12 or 13 years. I don't know why everybody always just wants to mention the Georgia and A&M deal, but there's every team in the SEC. Florida hasn't played at Auburn since 2010. It's because of the SEC schedule rotation, which is just yet another reason why we need 9 games. It's hard to believe that the SEC has been doing this schedule rotation since 2012, and there's still people that are so fucking stupid they don't understand the schedule rotation. You have people who literally think Georgia's choosing not to schedule Alabama, or that Georgia or that the SEC office is protecting Georgia by not letting them play at Texas A&M. First of all, Texas A&M is fucking garbage. If Georgia had played Texas A&M every year since Texas A&M joined the SEC, Georgia would be like what, 11-1 against them? So I don't understand. It's the SEC scheduling rotation. There's 6 teams from the other division. You rotate them year after year. So to do a home and home, it takes 12 years. I don't know why that's so hard for so many people to understand, but apparently it is. They're getting ready to start it now. They're getting ready to start it now. Georgia was scheduled to play at A&M in 24. Before we added Texas and Oklahoma, if you just follow the rotation out, Georgia was scheduled to play at Texas A&M in 2024. That's gone now because they're redoing the 24 schedule. And who knows, maybe they'll still send us out there. I think they should. Georgia should play at Texas A&M. South Carolina should play at Bama. Florida should play at Auburn. LSU should play at Georgia. All these games that we haven't seen in certain stadiums in 9, 10, 11, 12 years. That all should have been fixed with a make-believe schedule that they're doing for 1 year. Now, they're not going to do that. The SEC is going to find a way to screw this up, I'm positive. Alabama at Tennessee. Florida versus Georgia. Those games are confirmed. Alabama at Tennessee, Florida versus Georgia, Auburn at Georgia. So they got all those right. Georgia plays Auburn in Auburn this year, so next year it's in Georgia. Florida and Georgia in Jacksonville. LSU at Arkansas. I wish they wouldn't do it this way. I wish they would just show each team's whole schedule instead of showing these things one at a time. Auburn at Georgia, LSU at Arkansas. They're not putting the team schedule. For those of you that aren't watching, yes, they should just put every team schedule up on a screen. They're not doing that. They're giving us random games. So now they're telling us that LSU is playing at Arkansas. Now keep in mind, we're not going to know the dates of any of these games. They're going to determine the dates of these games later, probably sometime in October. But we'll know who we're playing today. Oklahoma and Texas confirmed for 2024. That's not really a surprise. All right, here's Oklahoma's opponents. Oklahoma at home, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. Oklahoma on the road, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri. So that's Oklahoma's 8 opponents for next year. Home against Bama, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. That's a tough home schedule. The road schedule is pretty easy. They play on the road at LSU, but their other 3 road games are winnable. Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mizzou. They get their tough games at home. I mean, LSU might be pretty good again next year. That's a tough road game, tough place to play. But Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas, Oklahoma gets all of them at home. Well, Texas is a neutral site game, but they get Alabama and Tennessee at home, LSU on the road, Texas neutral site, South Carolina at home. Here's Texas' schedule coming up. Texas is going to play at home. Well, Oklahoma at a neutral site. Then they're going to get Texas A&M on the road. So Texas at Texas A&M. Kyle Field. Texas at Texas A&M. Texas at Arkansas. Texas at Vandy. Texas at home. Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State. That's a manageable schedule there. That's a manageable schedule for Texas. Arkansas, Vandy, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Kentucky, all bad teams. Florida, bad. Georgia's really the only top 10 team they play. That's a very favorable schedule for Texas. Only one top 10 team. Oklahoma's not top 10. Florida's not top 10. Texas A&M not top 10. So only one top 10 team on the schedule for Texas. Pretty favorable schedule for Texas. It looks like Oklahoma got the tougher schedule to me. It looks like Oklahoma got the tougher schedule. Colby, thank you for the super chat. He says, an all SEC schedule and we get 2 neutral site games. I really hope these rumors aren't true. Yeah, I don't understand any of that comment, Colby. I really don't. We're not playing an all SEC schedule. We do have 2 neutral site games, Florida and Clemson, but Clemson's not a conference game. So I'm not really understanding what you were asking there. Huffer Billy Paul, thank you for the super chat. He says, UJ man gonna be so mad after this one, they gonna get it with no Vaseline. They're still talking about Texas and Oklahoma. They haven't shown any other teams yet, so I'll call the teams out as they show them. Texas got UGA at home, arguably their toughest opponent, yeah. But they got to play. Didn't they have Tennessee on there too? OU got the tougher schedule. I don't know about that. They only had one top 10 team. Lou got to do a road trip to Austin. I'd love to go to a game out there. Hey, Lou, get rid of Jarvis. He's a Bama fan. Oh, there's plenty of Bama fans around here. Bama fans are welcome. We got to have somebody to laugh at. Can't kick out all the Bama fans. Who are we going to laugh at? Florida fans, I guess. OU will probably play 8 ranked teams. Yeah, everybody in the SEC is probably going to play 8 ranked teams. That's not. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? They're all going to play. 7 or 8 ranked teams. Georgia's run is over now that they aren't playing a D2 schedule every year. There it is, the dumbest comment of the day. The dumbest comment of the day. We're going to 12 playoff teams, you fucking idiot. Oh no, what if Georgia goes 10-2 next year? Well, if Georgia goes 10-2, guess what? They're getting into playoffs, dummy. The goal ain't the goal isn't to go 12-0 in the regular season, dummy. The goal is to get in the playoffs. Five-star dummy. I'm excited that we get to go to Texas. I want Georgia and Texas again. Go Dogs. Yeah, that's the every team in the SEC is going to get to play either Texas or Oklahoma. Georgia's playing Texas at Texas. I think it should have been Oklahoma since Georgia just canceled a game at Oklahoma this year, but as long as we get to play one of them, I'm fine with that. Why didn't they keep the South Carolina versus Georgia game? Well, but you can't keep every game, and Georgia-South Carolina is not a rivalry. And I don't know that they didn't keep the Georgia-South Carolina game. I haven't seen the Georgia schedule or the South Carolina schedule, so I don't know whether they kept that one or not. But the Georgia-South Carolina game is not a rivalry. Georgia's rivals are in the SEC are Florida and Auburn, and then Georgia Tech outside of the SEC. Georgia kept Florida and Auburn. We know. Yeah, they promised to keep each. They promised to keep every team's two primary rivals. Two primary rivals. So Georgia will definitely play Florida and Auburn. We know they're playing on the road at Texas, and the rumor is they're playing on the road at Alabama. I want to see LSU at Texas, says Jonathan. Texas not playing LSU. Texas is playing. Oklahoma's playing LSU. Texas isn't playing LSU next year. Oklahoma's playing Alabama, at Auburn, at LSU, at Missouri, at Ole Miss. Texas isn't playing LSU. Does that mean Tennessee gets Vandy and Bama? Probably Florida and Bama would be my guess for Tennessee, but I don't know. I'll let you know when they show up. But my guess for Tennessee would be Florida and Bama. And maybe they play Vandy too. I don't know. Bama is keeping Tennessee for sure. They already said that. Bama and Tennessee are playing next year in Knoxville. That game's not going away. Joseph, thank you for the super chat. Does that mean Tennessee gets Vandy and Bama? Yeah, I talked about that. I don't know. We'll find out whenever they're going through team by team. The only schedules they've released so far are Oklahoma and Texas and a handful of others. Like they said Georgia and Florida are playing, Georgia and Auburn are playing, Alabama and Tennessee are playing. All right, here we go. Another team coming up. All right, here's Alabama. Alabama's scheduled for 2024. Alabama on the road at Oklahoma, on the road at LSU, on the road at Tennessee, and on the road at Vandy. Home against Georgia, home against Auburn, home against South Carolina, home against Mizzou. That's a tough schedule. They got to go on the road, LSU, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. And then at home, they play Georgia, Auburn, South Carolina, and Missouri. They also get Vandy on the road to lighten the load. But LSU, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, South Carolina. It's good to see them fix they did fix the South Carolina-Alabama deal. South Carolina has not played a game at Alabama since 2009. So they'll finally play there again next year. Here's Arkansas' schedule. Home against Texas. Home against Tennessee. Home against LSU. Home against Ole Miss. Arkansas on the road against Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri, and Texas A&M. This is a favorable schedule. The toughest road game is probably Auburn. Texas A&M is a neutral site game, so Auburn's probably their toughest road game. They also play Mizzou and Mississippi State on the road. At home, they get LSU, Tennessee, Texas, and Ole Miss. So their tougher games are at home, at least, for Arkansas next year. Here comes Auburn. Auburn's going to play Arkansas and Oklahoma at home, Alabama on the road. Auburn's going to play Georgia on the road, Kentucky on the road, and Mizzou on the road. So road games for Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, and Missouri. Home games for Auburn, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Vandy. So tough games here on the road against Alabama and Georgia, two top 5 programs. That's tough for Auburn. Then at home, they got to play Texas A&M and Oklahoma. So tough schedule for the barn. Tough schedule for the barn. Alabama, they're showing the Alabama schedule again. So Alabama has road games at LSU, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. Those are Alabama's road games. So that's what you get for being a pussy and voting for 8 games. Here you go. Go on the road, play LSU, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. Oh, then you got to come home and play Georgia, by the way. Good luck with that, Bama man. Good luck with that, Bama, man. You be crying about the schedule again. Alabama, all they do is cry about the schedule. Every time they lose 1 or 2 games, it's the schedule's fault, ain't it? Yep, schedule's fault. Well, you're the one that voted for this 8-game schedule, Gump, so you got nobody to blame but yourself, nitwit. The only real problems I have with the schedules I've seen so far, I think Bama should have played at UGA instead of UGA playing at Bama just because Georgia just played in Bama in 2020. And I think Georgia should have played at Oklahoma because Georgia just canceled a game at Oklahoma this season. So I think they should have made Georgia make that up next year. Other than that, I don't really see any problems with the schedules that I've seen. Boy, you might as well forget about Auburn next year. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Auburn next year has to play on the road at Alabama and Georgia. And then at home, they got to play Oklahoma and Texas A&M. You might just forget about that. They're liable to lose to Arkansas. Kentucky might beat them. You might as well just forget about Auburn next year altogether. You might as well just forget about Auburn. Hope maybe Auburn's basketball team will do something, but you can forget about their football team next year. You can just forget about it. Auburn might win 3 SEC games. No, this isn't a call-in show. This isn't a call-in show, no. Hope they scheduled Auburn at Bama and at UGA close together, says Red and Black Dog. Well, we'll see. We've been playing Auburn early in the year the last couple of years. We used to play Auburn late in the year every year. Auburn used to have to play Georgia and Alabama in a 3-week period to end the year every year. That Auburn cried and complained about it and got the Georgia game moved to the beginning of the year. So we've been playing Auburn at the beginning of the year lately, but we won't know the dates that these games are being played until later in the fall. Jarvis, thank you for the super chat. He says Auburn's going to be the Colorado of the SEC next year. Man, that can't be true. There's no way they're going 1-11. That's not true, is it? Please tell me that's not true. Please tell me that's not true. Sunbelt Billy. Yeah, Sunbelt Billy. We'll see Florida's schedule here in just a second. I see Auburn going 6-2 in SEC play. Well, you need to get your eyes checked. You need to get your eyes checked. You got problems. You got big problems. What, you talking about this year, next year? We're talking about this year? No, they're not going 6-2 this year. They ain't going 6-2 this year in SEC play. You can forget about that. Who gets more wins next year, Colorado or Auburn? You mean this year? I'm not doing predictions for next year. Can we play? We got to play this year first. Then I'll do predictions for next year. That's ridiculous, doing predictions for 2024. As an Auburn fan, I'm excited about the schedule. 9-3 in this league will be damn good. Be good, but it won't be good enough to get into the playoffs. You're going to have to go 10-2. You're going to have to go 10-2 to get into the playoffs. I bet Nick crying in the office trying to get out of that Wisconsin game. He wouldn't do that, would he? He wouldn't do that, would he? Of course he would. Of course he would. Damn, Vandy is getting shafted. Well, here's what you have to understand. The worse a team is, the tougher their schedule is going to be automatically. There's nothing you can't give the worst team in the SEC an easy SEC schedule. It doesn't exist. Every team Vandy plays is better than them. So and the opposite is true for your Georgias and your Bamas. Whoever you line up in front of Georgia, Georgia's better than them. There's no such thing as, oh my God, Georgia got a ridiculous schedule. Georgia's better than everybody else. Vandy's worse than everybody else. So any Vandy schedule you make, people are going to say, wow, that's hard. And any Georgia schedule you make, people are going to say, wow, that's easy. That's because Georgia is miles better than everybody else they play, and Vandy have been sucking hind tit for 40 years. If UJ was on the road to Alabama, UT, and LSU, that would be a hard schedule. So if Georgia had to play the second, third, and fourth best team in the league all on the road, that's what you want? That's what y'all dumb. If Southern Cal had to play at Ohio State, at Michigan, and at Penn State, that would be a hard schedule, wouldn't it? I don't understand. Some of y'all are weird. What would it take for Lou to wear a Gator shirt for 24 hours? Bulldog Ryan, what's up, buddy? He says Alabama's going 8-4 in 2024. Wow. Doing next year predictions. Okay. Okay, then. Georgia's opponents. Auburn at home, Florida neutral site, Mississippi State. Ah, shit, I missed it. Hold on. Georgia's got Auburn at home, Florida neutral site, Mississippi State at home, and Tennessee at home. On the road, Alabama, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Texas. So Tennessee at home, Bama on the road. The rest of those games, Georgia will win by 30 points. Tennessee they'll win by 17. Bama they'll win by 10. Mark Salyers, thank you for the super chat. He says, can't wait to see Saban crying. Looks like we're going to see some damn good games finally. Go Vols. Yeah, imagine if there was 9 games, how much better this schedule would be. LSU, they've got Bama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Vandy at home. Arkansas, Florida, South Carolina, and Texas A&M on the road. So tough road games for LSU. They don't really have any. At Texas A&M is their toughest road game. Florida's in the toilet. Their home games, Alabama at home, Oklahoma at home. Pretty manageable schedule for LSU. Pretty manageable schedule there for LSU. Brandon Wyatt, thank you for the super chat. We're just never playing at Kyle Field, are we? Yeah, it's getting ridiculous now. It should have been done right now. Especially considering we were scheduled to play there in 2024. Had they not screwed the schedule up like they're doing now, they just kept it like it was, we were playing at Texas A&M in 2024. Now we're not. Who knows? I'm assuming we'll play there in 2025, but who knows? Who knows? Ole Miss has Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma at home. On the road, tough games at LSU. And then they play Arkansas. Mississippi State, home games against Arkansas and Florida. Mississippi State's got to go on the road to play Georgia and Ole Miss. They also get Missouri and Texas A&M at home and Tennessee and Texas on the road. So Mississippi State at Texas, at Tennessee, at Georgia. That's 3 losses. At home, they get Arkansas, Missouri, Texas A&M, and Florida. 3 of those are winnable. 3 of those are winnable, but they're going to have a brutal time on the road next year. Mississippi State is. They could go winless on the road if they don't win the Egg Bowl. They're not beating Georgia, Tennessee, or Texas. Mississippi State's not. So they better hope they beat Ole Miss, or else they're not winning a single road game at all in 2024. Doesn't UJ play Ole Miss this year also? Yes, play Ole Miss this year at home. Missouri at home against Arkansas, Auburn, Oklahoma, and Vandy. That's manageable home schedule. On the road, Alabama, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Texas A&M. That's one of the more manageable schedules I've seen. I mean, at Alabama's tough, but then at Mississippi State, at South Carolina, at Texas A&M, those are all winnable. South Carolina. On the road at Bama, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. Also on the road at Vandy. And then at home, they get LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Texas A&M. So they get LSU and Bama, one at home, one on the road. They also get Texas A&M at home, who they've been playing for every year for a while anyway. No Georgia versus South Carolina, though. No Georgia versus South Carolina. South Carolina's not going to be happy with that. South Carolina wanted to keep the Georgia game. South Carolina wanted to keep the Georgia game. Tennessee. Tennessee at home. Bama, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State. Not easy. On the road, Arkansas, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Vandy. Tough schedule for Tennessee. Tough road games against Georgia and Oklahoma. Tough home game against Bama. We'll see what happens with Florida. I know Tennessee struggled with them. I think Tennessee's going to blow them out this year. If that's the case, then that's a very manageable game for Tennessee then next year. Also catch Kentucky, Mississippi State at home. Vandy on the road, a gimme game. Arkansas on the road, one you would think Tennessee could be able to handle. But the Oklahoma and Georgia games on the road, 2 of their tougher games. Alabama at home, Florida at home. Pretty fair schedule as far as the home and away for Tennessee. Texas A&M is going to play Arkansas at a neutral site, and then at home they get LSU, Mizzou, and Texas. On the road, Texas A&M will play Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. Look at those road games. A&M's road games, Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State, South Carolina. They can win all those. Then at home, they get LSU and Texas. Okay, maybe they lose those, but then they get Missouri and Arkansas at home. That looks like 6-2 probably for Texas A&M there for next year. A&M's got a manageable schedule. Vanderbilt on the road, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, Mizzou. at home. Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. So how many of those games can they win? 1, 2, maybe 2 or 3 of those games at the most. No more than that. No more than that. And that's it. That's all the teams. That's all the teams. I'm sure if you go on the internet now and start looking at Facebook or Twitter or whatever, somebody's already got graphs and everything made up of everybody's schedule and who they're playing. I know it's hard to keep up with me just yelling out who every team is playing, but y'all said y'all wanted me to go live. Yesterday on the call-in show, y'all said you wanted me to go live for the schedule reveal show, so I'm live for the schedule reveal show. Oh, also about 15 minutes ago, right before I went live, I uploaded my Florida State preview and prediction video game by game. So make sure you go and check that out. But there you go. That's the schedules for 2024 in the SEC. Again, no divisions, 8-game conference schedule. Top 2 teams will play in the SEC title game. And this is just a 1-year deal. So the schedule that they just put out for 2024 has nothing to do with 2025 and beyond. Next offseason, they're going to meet again, and they're going to try to come up with a permanent scheduling plan, whether it ends up being an 8-game schedule with a 1-7-7 model, or whether it ends up being a 9-game schedule with a 3-6-6 model, or whether it ends up being something completely different altogether. But this schedule that you're seeing is a one-off schedule. So, for example, just because Georgia is playing at Bama in 24 doesn't necessarily mean that Bama will be playing at Georgia in 25, right? We don't know. The 2025 schedule will have nothing to do with the 2024 schedule they just released. So in 2024, no divisions, 8-game conference schedule. Top 2 teams at the end of the regular season will play each other in the SEC title game. And, of course, keep in mind that we are going to a 12-team playoff next year as well. So the days of having to go 12-0 or 11-1 to get into the playoff are over. So if you're worried about your team's schedule and think you're going to go 10-2, that's great news, because 10-2 in the SEC is going to get you into the playoffs more times than not. You go 10-2 from now on in the SEC, not this year, 4-game playoff this year, but starting next year, 2024, which is the schedule they just put out, you go 10-2 in the SEC, you got about a 90% chance of making the playoffs with a 10-2 record. We still don't know the dates of the games either. These are just who you're playing. The dates of the games will be determined later, sometime in the fall. They said around October. So there you go. There you go. Check out the Florida State preview and prediction video. I literally just posted it about 30 minutes ago. I think that's the 3rd or 4th one that I've done. There's a playlist, so you can click back and check the teams that I've done so far. We'll do another prediction video tomorrow. Call-in show tomorrow, Thursday night, around 9 o'clock. So if you want to talk about this schedule or you want to talk about college football, give me a call tomorrow night right here on this channel around 9 o'clock. We'll go live for the call-in show. All right, appreciate y'all hanging out, and I'll see you again soon. Have a good morning.